It is 2018, the first chapter of Bill's extreme journey. It was early February when Bill developed what appeared to be a simple pimple on his back. The pimple grew to resemble a boil. Various treatments were attempted to drain the boil but were not successful. After a couple of weeks, the pain was increasing and it was becoming difficult for Bill to get around. Just getting out of bed was becoming an effort. Finally, after Bill had been bedridden for 2 days, the family took action and forced him to the hospital. Bill had no recollection of these final moments. Little did anyone know, his blood sugar was over 800, and he had slipped into a diabetic coma. Until this moment, no one, including Bill, knew he was diabetic at all. After spending several hours in the ER at Bryan Hospital, in Bryan, Ohio, Bill was transported to Promedica Hospital, in Toledo. There, he awoke from his coma, in a very delusional state. It turned out that the pimple on Bill's back was really a massive staph infection. Over the course of several weeks, Bill underwent 4 surgeries to remove skin. The final result was a huge area of skin on his back being removed all the way down to the bone and muscle. He was also placed on a powerful antibiotic that would be delivered intravenously over an 8-week period. Bill endured a lot of pain, with wound dressing changes 2 times a day. The wound had to be packed, and a chlorine solution added to the packing to ensure there would be no reinfection to the area. While at a hospital, Bill had a pulmonary edema, and was placed on a ventilator for 3 days. He only remembered a shortness of breath prior, and waking up days later. Apparently kidney failure was the cause. Finally, a wound vac was applied to his back, and Bill was ready for the next phase of his recovery. A month had passed, and now Bill was moved to a skilled care facility in Defiance, Ohio. He could not be sent home, because the antibiotic had to be administered 3 times a day. Home health care could only visit twice with his insurance plan. Another month passed, while Bill continued treatment for the staph infection. He also went through extensive therapy to regain strength in his legs. Throughout all of this, his life partner rarely left his side. Had this not been the case, Bill may have slipped into a deep depression. Bill was also learning how to be a diabetic. He went to several training sessions in Toledo to learn about proper diet, and how to calculate carbs. He created charts and spreadsheets to track his daily routines and progress. Finally, in April of 2018, Bill went home again. He attempted to return to a normal routine. He was undergoing excruciating back pain, however, that had started during the final week in the care facility. It was discovered that Bill had a fractured vertebrae and 2 slipped discs. Upon closer examination, osteoporosis was deemed the cause. The doctor refused to do surgery to fix Bill's back, due to fear of another staph infection. Bill was also diagnosed with peripheral artery disease in both legs. The walking he needed to continue to do, however, was severely curtailed by the agonizing back pain. For the next 2 years, Bill battled the diabetes, back pain, and an ever-increasing numbness in his legs. His blood sugars would continue to be uncontrollable despite a rigorous dietary routine. More and more long-acting insulin was required to maintain his levels. 2020, the second chapter of Bill's journey. It got to the point that eating the exact same foods that had been alright a month ago would now spike his sugars up into the 200 range. Shortly after this new symptom, Bill noticed redness and pain about his left ankle. Being numb all the time in his legs, Bill thought he had sprained his ankle. He kept it elevated and tried to stay off of it as much as possible. The pain continued to grow, however, and the redness was getting worse. His life partner urged him to see a doctor and have it checked.
I could tell it was just a simple sprain. I mean, when you can't feel your feet, you can't feel your legs, things happen. I mean, you end up with cuts you don't know about until you see it. So the thought of spraining my leg and not even noticing it until a few days later really wasn't a concept that was, that far out there. However, as time went by, it got worse, and the pain became excruciating, and other symptoms started to arise. You know, like I had the chills, and I'd be really tired or just kind of out of it. So that's the point in time where, you know, the doctor was something that I really, really wanted to do. I kind of held off, and that's kind of on me. And that's because I was so afraid of the COVID. I didn't want to catch COVID, so I didn't want to be around doctors or hospitals or sick people. Of course, ultimately that may have cost me my leg. I'm not sure.
Days later, the ankle burst open and started to ooze out fluids. A ride was arranged, and Bill went to the ER in Defiance, Ohio to be near his doctor. By now, there were 2 open spots oozing fluids from either side of his ankle. The ER doctor looked at Bill's leg and decided he urgently needed to go to see a specialist. Once again, Bill was transported to the hospital in Toledo. This time, because of COVID, he was alone. The wound on Bill's ankle was turning black. Following extensive tests, it was determined that another staph infection was present. This time, the infection was deep into the bone. Bill was faced with 2 choices. He could endure years of surgeries and reconstruction with the possibility of amputation, or even death as an outcome, or he could opt for an amputation now. The doctor informed Bill that the first option was not a very good one, and it had little to no chance of success. Bill decided to go with the second choice. Within a day, he was in surgery. The amputation performed was called a guillotine cut. Normally, the cut is more of a V-shape and the skin is sewn up as part of the operation. In Bill's case, however, it was necessary to leave the wound open to make sure all the infection was removed. It is amazing how an amputation can cure so many things. Suddenly, Bill's diabetes was in check. His sugars were at a steady 120. It was so good. The doctors removed his long-acting insulin, completely replacing it with a tiny 10 mg glycoside. Bill rarely required short-term Humalog either. It was a medical miracle. 10 days later, satisfied that the infection had all been removed, Bill's leg was sewn up. The doctors put a cast over it, and therapy began. Bill excelled in learning to get around with just one leg. He was faster than the program allowed. A few days after surgery, Bill was moved again to Toledo Regency Hospital. This facility was a kind of halfway house between the hospital and a skilled care facility. Bill continued to progress rapidly, while enjoying the excellent food in this new home. Because Bill was making such exponential progress, he was given an option to attend a 3-week accelerated therapy, and then go home. The remaining steps could all be done outpatient. Excited by this new development, Bill texted his life partner with the good news. Bill's partner, however, was anything but excited by this good news. She argued that he needed to stay longer, and that he must force insurance to keep him there. Bill was confused, hurt, and devastated by this rejection.
I think what hit harder than perhaps even losing the leg itself was the abandonment. I mean, I went from having a family to suddenly nobody wanted me around. Really, the only thing that had changed is the leg loss. I tried to find a reason. I even asked what was the reason, and no reason was given. So I have to assume it is all about the leg, and that's I don't know. In my words, in my opinion, that's pretty sad.
With nowhere to go, Bill was forced to go to a longer-term skilled care in Defiance, Ohio. He opted for a different facility than the one in 2018 because that one had a current COVID outbreak. His doctor attended both facilities, and Bill was pleasantly surprised by the quality of this new place, called Laurels. The new facility was big, and it was clean. Bill had a private room with a shower for the first month. The staff was super friendly and caring. The food was fantastic, as was the view of the woods from his room. Over the next month, Bill continued to progress rapidly. It was soon obvious to the staff that he required little to no assistance. The only real difficulty was learning to hop upstairs. Opportunities arose again to go home and continue as an outpatient. Each time, the resistance from Bill's life partner continued. Never was a reason given, just continual pressure not to return. Bill also begged that warm clothing of his be sent via mail in preparation for the coming winter. Some sweatpants were ordered, but still, he only had short-sleeve shirts and no jacket. In October, insurance decided they could not continue to pay for the nice room, and Bill was moved into a much smaller room with no shower, a tiny and cramped bathroom, and a roommate who was obviously very ill. Bill tried again to reason with his partner, but it was to no avail. In the end, he caught COVID from the sick individual he had been placed with. That poor soul passed away a week or so later from the disease. Catching COVID put a 4-week delay on receiving Bill's first prosthetic leg. It was a long and grueling experience, exaggerated by the feelings of being abandoned.
It was getting pretty ridiculous, and frankly, having caught COVID because I wasn't allowed to go home, it kind of made me not even want to go there anymore. I mean, if you hate me that much that you would rather see me get sick, then there's really no point in continuing that. So my mindset was rapidly reaching the "this is over, I'm done" mode.
Kind members of the staff took pity on Bill and began to get him some warm clothing for the winter. His sister and father sent money so he could get some basic things to get by with. Had it not been for the goodness of strangers and his blood family, Bill would not have been able to make the journey in the freezing winter to get and follow up on his leg. In mid-December, after several fitting sessions, Bill received his first leg. Even the prosthetist was amazed at how fast Bill had adapted to it. The very first time, he progressed from parallel bars to a cane within an hour. Bill attributed this to the fact he was used to walking on numb legs.
Having gone through years of numbness in both legs, actually made the prosthetic a whole lot easier, balancing wise and whatnot, because I really was already used to it. I mean, it wasn't that big of a difference.
A final attempt was made to return home. Now that Bill actually had his leg, the same arguments were met with that he had come accustomed to, and the relationship was ended. Bill would now tackle the new issue of finding a place to live.
I was done. That was just the last straw, and probably it was a good thing. I mean, 6 times now that I've tried to return to where I live, to the people that were supposed to be the ones who loved me. Yeah, well, that's the way it is, I guess. Some people's love is really shallow. And I found this out the hard way. After spending 7 years, wasting 7 years of my life. Anyway, it was time to move on. Time to set my goals elsewhere. Time to concentrate on what was at hand. And that was learning to walk, learning to get around, getting back on my feet, getting back to being a productive human that's part of something that has life. So, in a way, you know, it's kind of a good thing, because when I look back now, I realize what I put myself through, and it was a total one-sided street. I mean, never once was my well-being put ahead of anything. I wasn't even allowed to leave the house. So, I went through a lot. And, you know, I guess we all make mistakes that way. But, as I said, it was time to move on and push forward and put the past where it belongs, in the past.
By now, Bill had quite a wardrobe built up, including some very nice lined pants to wear to appointments. For Christmas, the staff got him a backpack to keep his leg accessories in, and a wonderful warm jacket. In January, Bill was moved to his current room with a much bigger bathroom, and a roommate that he has become good friends with. He continued to progress with his new leg, wearing it longer with each passing week. Now, Bill patiently waits for a place to live. He has progressed to the point of wearing his leg 8 hours a day. He can walk without a cane, and even scares his therapists by kicking his leg up unassisted. Bill has placed himself back on the dating market, and is hoping to find a real-life partner that is less shallow, and able to see beyond a person's disability. Bill's room often looks more like a staff meeting than a patient's room. Every staffer comes down to visit, sometimes in packs, just to de-stress. Bill and his roommate are good at making folks laugh. The coffee is always brewing too, filling the hall with that wonderful smell. Bill is now a confirmed K-pod addict. Despite all the fun, Bill still looks forward to getting out and back into the world. He misses being employed and having a life, 2 things he gave up when he joined his ex-partner some 8 years ago. He is one of those people you just can't knock down. Despite losing his back, infections, diabetes, amputation, and abandonment, Bill will press on. He will come out ahead, and be even stronger than before. Remember the motto, where there is a Bill, there is a way.